Today, we're diving into one of the most profound and, let's be honest, uncomfortable ideas out there, the concept of the shadow self. That part of ourselves that we tend to keep locked away, maybe even from our own conscious mind.
Just think about it for a second. Is there a version of you that only ever comes out when you're totally alone? A collection of impulses, thoughts, or desires you just rather no one ever knew about? Well, guess what? You are definitely not alone. This is a core part of the human experience. Okay, let's get into it.
We all know the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? It's that classic tale of the good, respectable doctor and the monster just lurking underneath. But here's the thing. It's not just some old horror story. It's actually a perfect map of our own minds. It shows us the two sides we all have, the face we present to the world and the one we keep hidden in the dark. So what is this shadow, really? Well, drawing from the amazing work of psychologist Carl Jung, it's basically the bag we stuff everything we don't like about ourselves into. It's not necessarily evil, but it's all the raw, untamed, and uncomfortable stuff. Our insecurities, our shame, our deepest fears, and yeah, even our secret desires.
And you might be thinking this is some kind of New Age concept, but it's not. Not at all. This struggle with our own inner darkness, it's an ancient quest that people have been on for thousands of years.
Just look at this timeline. Over 2,000 years ago, you had Philo of Alexandria talking about the logos, this idea of a perfect divine standard. And when you measure yourself against perfection, well, you're going to cast a shadow. A few centuries later, the Desert Fathers were in the wilderness, battling what they called the paith, their inner passions. And then, much more recently in the 20th century, Carl Jung came along and gave it all a name we use today, the shadow.
So, this ancient quest, this inner journey, it eventually leads every single traveler to a critical moment, a confrontation, a meeting at the very edge of who you think you are.
Imagine you're on that journey inward. You walk past all the familiar, comfortable parts of your personality, and you arrive at a kind of threshold. And right there, something is waiting for you.
This figure has a name, the Watcher on the Threshold. It is your shadow, but personified. It's the living, breathing embodiment of every single thing you have pushed down and refused to look at. All your fear, your envy, your shame, your unhealed wounds, it's all right there, staring back at you. It's a moment of absolute, terrifying honesty.
And right there, at that critical moment, you have a choice. There are two paths. Path one, you try to slay the Watcher. You try to destroy it, to deny it exists. That's the path of Dr. Jekyll, and it always ends in self-destruction. Then there's path two. You claim it. You look that terrifying thing in the eye and you say, this too is me. This is the only path to actually becoming whole.
So, let's say you do it. You find the courage to take that second path, to claim the Watcher. What happens next? What's the reward for facing all that darkness head-on?
Well, the results are nothing short of transformative. First, you get what's called a sacred marriage between the conscious you and the unconscious you. Then you achieve something called apatheia, a kind of inner freedom where you're not a slave to your impulses anymore. That leads to hesychia, which is this deep, unshakable inner quiet. And finally, a higher reason, the logos, starts to operate from inside you, letting you see the world with a new, incredible clarity.
Now, I have to pause here because that word, apatheia, it sounds a lot like apathy, doesn't it? But it is the absolute opposite. This isn't about feeling nothing. It's about mastering your passions so they don't control you. It's a state of profound inner peace and true freedom.
And this all leads us to the most challenging, maybe the most mind-blowing idea of this whole explainer. What if this inner darkness, this whole painful struggle, what if it isn't a mistake? What if it's actually part of a divine design?
We usually think of our flaws, our darkness, as a problem to be solved, right? A bug in our programming. But what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? What if it's not a bug? What if it's a feature?
The source material points us to ancient scriptures like this quote from Isaiah, and it presents a really startling idea, that darkness isn't just the absence of light, it's an intentional act of creation.
And it doesn't stop there. This quote from Deuteronomy reinforces that same point. The idea here is that the wounding we feel when we confront our shadow, it isn't just random suffering, it's actually a necessary part of the divine process of healing and being made whole again.
So if you look at it from this perspective, when your shadow starts to make itself known, it's not a sign that you're broken. it's not a moral failure. It's actually a sacred event. It means you're being called to a deeper level of self-knowledge, and that it's happening at exactly the right time.
So after everything we've looked at, we have to see the shadow in a totally new light. It is not the enemy of your spiritual life.
It's the very doorway you have to walk through to find that deeper, truer, and more complete version of yourself.
And so, the only question left is the one that you have to answer for yourself. Are you willing to turn and face the Watcher? Are you willing to walk through that door?